Evening, guys. Nothing like getting a pop-up window right as I start the live stream from YouTube on how to monitor my moderators. Yeah, like that needs to happen around here. So, all right. Good evening to everybody for a. Where is it? There we go. Good evening to everybody for the last day of January, Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month. Here we go. Let's get this done with. So, hope y'all, those of you that still have power, apparently there's a whole bunch out with this ice storm already, and it's only supposed to get worse overnight. We haven't got it yet. We are right on the line, so we'll see, but it's 41 degrees out here. We've got light rain, but we're supposed to get some wintry mix tonight, so who knows. But for all those of you in Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Western Tennessee, Kentucky, all the way up to West Virginia, be careful out there, guys, if you got to go into work in the morning or something like that. Roads are supposed to suck. So, just saying. But, yes. Around here, because it rained all day, Mrs. P and I didn't get anything done outside, though we were in the garage hanging up more tongue and groove wood on the walls. So we got the second wall about halfway done. So that's moving along. We're hoping to have that done by February or by the end of February so we can finally get that all wired up, because it's all sorts of fun doing it with my generators. But at least I have them, so I got portable power. So we're out there running saws and air compressors and stuff like that on portable generators. But you got them, use them, right? It makes life a lot easier. But yeah. Worldwide today, a couple of interesting things you guys have sent me. I guess the scammers are out again because all the talk of this thing is back in the news. So the scammers are calling up and saying, "Hi, I'm with the CDC and we'd like to do a survey with you," and just hang up. Okay. Simple as that. A scammer is trying to get your social security number. Okay. And personally, as much as I love some of these guys that do the scam busting on YouTube, I wish somebody just go over there and start putting bullets in people's heads with these scammers, because they are the lowest of the low in society. Let's see. Then, of course, one of y'all asked me about the idea in Great Britain to pay people to not use power. I got a kick out of that. It's was it like from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night, they're paying you something like $24 or whatever to not use the power. Where's the money coming from? Oh, we'll raise your taxes, your taxes on your electric bill, so we can pay a select few back. What did I tell you at the beginning of the year? Watch what's going to happen this year. They're going to start raising fees on the electricity because of the infrastructure, and nothing's going to get done to fix the infrastructure. We're at the end of January. There we go. So, I mean, this isn't in the U.S., but give the U.S. time. They'll figure it out. How to screw us in that one, too. But, yeah, just we were working most of the day today. I didn't look for too much in the news. I saw those things going. It was a relatively slow news day, with the exception of what I told you guys about the morning on recalls and then the latest on gas prices. But yeah, so that was it. It's a KP Heathen, no hat tonight. That's Saturdays. So today's Tuesday. You can always tell what day it is by if I have a hat on or not. So, all right. So as for good old Union County, Tennessee, we're wet, we're chilly, but we don't have ice. So we're still in good shape here. All right, guys, let's get into some Q&A. Let's have some fun with it tonight. Just maybe talk about something enjoyable. I'm sick of bad news, just something fun. But whatever you guys want to talk about, y'all know nothing's off limits. So if you have a question for me, guys, all caps, just like every other YouTube channel out there. There's 1,000 of you guys in here, and there's one of me. Only thing that I do require of everybody in here is keep it civil, keep it polite. No I don't want to say no arguments. Disagreement is fine, but no no being rude to each other. That will get you tossed out of here in a heartbeat. And the mods are really good doing it. Most of my mods have been here for over 2 years already. So yeah, y'all know them, and they probably know most of you. So trust me, if it's a new name in there, they're going to have a little extra eye on it just to make sure you're not one of these bots. Which, if y'all ask, sometimes people will say, why can't I chat in the live stream? If you guys notice, I put the slow mode on, obviously, so the mods can keep up reading everything. And then I put the subscribers only for a day. The reason for that, guys, is to keep the trolls and the spam bots out of here, because otherwise they're in like crazy. It's just like on comments on the videos. I don't let anybody post links, because otherwise all you get is every other comment's hot girls here. And we don't need that crap. So, all right, so let's get into it. See what you guys have on your mind, and we'll go from there. So I'll get to the top. Everybody sing hello, 5x5s. All right. Blue Raven says, what's the best and safest way to store gas? Well, I mean, any approved gas can, okay, so whether it's plastic or whether it's one of the old metal ones, or a jerry can or something like that, if it's a can that's specifically made for gasoline, that's the first thing. Okay, don't try to store gas in milk jugs or old laundry detergent. That's not safe. Okay. 55-gallon drums, if you want to store something like that, it's great. You got to have a pump to get it out, but you can buy those little pumps that you put in the top. That works too. Just when you're buying the gas and storing it, you've got to figure out what you're feasibly going to use, okay? Because the best way to store it is to put something like a stable in it, or, any of these fuel stabilizers. But even then, after 12 months tops, but usually 6 months is the rule I go by, the gas starts getting stale. And so you want to be able to rotate your gas. So sure, you can go out and buy 3 55-gallon drums and fill them up and have 165 gallons of gas. Do you go through 165 gallons of gas in 6 months? Okay. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on what you're driving. Okay. You're driving an hour back and forth to work every day. Sure, you are. Okay. If you're just using it for the lawnmower and the weed whacker and the chainsaw and whatever would be in some for your car, maybe not so much. But then the other thing you got to think about too, and let's just take a look at what happened. Let's say you said, oh my God, gas is $5 a gallon. I've got to get a whole bunch last summer. And then all of a sudden by Thanksgiving, it was $3 a gallon. Now, crap, I got all this $5 a gallon of gas. Okay. You want to have some, but don't go overboard. Now, if you own a farm or something like that, sure, you want to have a big old tank full of diesel or whatever it would be. But when you're storing gasoline, do it safely, but also do it wisely. It's kind of like I talk about with buying gold and silver. You buy a little here and a little there, and you average your cost out a little bit. It's just like the stock market. Nobody's going to pick the bottom. Nobody's going to pick the top. You just try to average yourself in better with buying gas. That's all you can do. Now, if there's some sort of fluke and, places got gas on sale for $2 and every other place got it for $3.50. Yeah, buy everything you can, but that's not rarely ever do you see that. CKOC, are stores really being looted in my area? Around me, no. Not that I know of, at least. But then again, there's not that much in my area, guys. Okay. If I go into Maynardville, Union County has 19,000 people. Okay. Literally all that's there is a couple of fast food places, a grocery store, the co-op, and that's about it. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people in this county. If I go into Claiborne County, which is north of me, yeah, there's a couple of grocery stores, there's a Walmart, there's a couple of little shops, a Walgreens, that sort of stuff. But I haven't heard anything about looting there. Now, again, we're talking country Tennessee. I saw stories today, I think it was in Colorado, about some guy who owns an Ace Hardware who's absolutely had it. He says, because people are just walking in every day and stealing stuff out of the store. I mean, and they don't care because Colorado law says $2,000 has to be stolen before the cops are going to show up. And the cops are too busy to bother showing up anyway. So the people just say, cool, you know what? I need a lawnmower. Good. Okay. The next thing you know, it's on Craigslist. So is it going on in the country? Oh, absolutely. Is it going on by me? Not that I can see. But then again, I think a lot of it has to do with where you live, too. R. Hogan, I drove to Nashville and back to West Kentucky tonight. It was getting a little messy. From what I looked at, that's about the line of the ice right now. Is, west of Nashville is getting it, east of Nashville not so much. So, and it's supposed to be nasty overnight over there. Now, I'll give you a story. This was, God, what was this? About 92, maybe it was 93, I think. And I was going to school and for those of you guys down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know the area I'm talking about. But I was going to school at Cook County Community College up in Gainesville. And I was living in Little Elm, which is north of Denton, okay? And I figured, okay, it's cheaper to get my first 2 years of college out of the way to community college and then transfer to UNT. And so I was there. Well, of course, Texas, ice storms in Texas are nothing new, guys. This happens almost every year. Well, here I am. I'm young. I mean, I'm living on my GI Bill, which at the time was $700 a month. Okay, pay my tuition, pay my rent and everything like that. We're talking early 90s, okay? It's not like, now that's what a dozen eggs costs. But so my vehicle that I had was a old Kawasaki 650. That was it. So it's a Texas ice storm. And I had to drive, I'd say probably 40 to 50 miles. It took me an hour in good weather to get there. And I had one class where the teacher would drop you your final grade, a letter grade, for every class you missed. There were no excuses for missing classes. You had 100% on all the tests throughout the semester. You missed one class, you got a B. Okay. This was the same professor, by the way, that didn't like my article on Vietnam, which I was right. But so here we had an ice storm. I call up the college in the morning. Nope, school's open. Shit. All I got is a motorcycle and we got roads that are sheets of ice, right? So I'm out there, wet weather gear on the bike, combat boots. I literally drove my motorcycle on sheets of ice road for 50 miles with my feet down. That was it. So yes, I know what this is like. For all those of you in Texas, I sympathize. But I've been there. Linda Bopp, what are both mine and Mrs. Pinball's thoughts on all the tanks being sent to Ukraine? Why do you think all these things are really going to one place? I've said it in a few videos. Zelensky has dirt on the politicians of the entire West, okay? All of NATO, Biden, you name it. And this is my opinion. Okay, there's two things I think this could be. He's got all this dirt on all these politicians from all the money laundering escapades over the last at least 5 years. Okay. And he's threatening to blow the whistle on all of them unless they do whatever he wants. Because isn't it amazing that a country that lost Crimea 8 years ago, did nothing to build up their military, is not an ally, is not a member of NATO, is not even an ally, guys. Not a member of NATO, not a member of the EU, can demand all this stuff, and all these countries are tripping over themselves to give him whatever he wants. Okay. What does he have on them? So there's the first thing. The other one that is really interesting, and I mean, this would be a conspiracy theory, but it's worth watching, is if he and Putin are working in cahoots to weaken the West. Which, who knows? The way politics runs anymore, it wouldn't surprise me. But my gut feeling is Zelensky's got some serious dirt on all these politicians, and either we do what he wants or he's going to bring down the governments of the world all over the place. And it's funny because now that the Republicans control the House, they haven't stopped the money. Remember, the House of Representatives has the purse strings, okay? Joe can promise whatever he wants, but the House has to write the check, okay? So it doesn't work that way. And the House is still writing the check. So how many congressmen does Zelensky have dirt on? And you know damn well what's going on. It's all laundered money. Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And they're getting all this stuff. You know, if it smells like shit, guess what it is, guys? So, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Lorna putting subscribe to Pinball's backup channel. After that sentence, might need it tomorrow. Who knows? Depends on how pissy YouTube is tonight. Jay Myers, I wish they'd call me. Have to ask them. Okay, have to ask them only if they do it first. Okay, I'm guessing you're talking about the CDC thing I was talking about earlier. Yeah, guys, do me a favor. When you have a question, sometimes put in somehow the reference to what you're talking about, because I get so far behind. You write something now and I don't see it for 10 minutes, and then I have no idea what the context is because we bounce through so many different subjects. ROCNTCB. I'm not even going to try to figure out what that is. Delete scammers permanently. Yeah, I'd be very, very happy. Very happy to do that. Do you see that? If you guys saw this story about deleting things, you guys all know who the Westboro Baptist Church is, right? You know, that church a few years ago that was protesting soldiers' funerals and all this sort of stuff. Well, I guess there's something similar going on in Australia, where the LGBTQ community in Australia is protesting the funeral of a cardinal from Australia. And so I'm watching this whole report on Sky News and everything like that. And it's like, how disgusting is it that they're protesting the funeral? And I'm like, yeah, I absolutely agree. And then they have somebody on this report saying, well, this is what we should do. We don't agree with it, so therefore we're going to protest. And I'm like, you know, hey, I totally agree. You shouldn't protest funerals. If one of those freak shows, I'll go celebrate at their funeral. I won't protest. You know, I'm just like, no, there's certain things in life you don't do. Okay. I don't care how much you hate somebody. All right. You know, it goes back. One of those things that mom told us, and I'm very guilty of this one. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Of course, that would be the death of this channel, especially when it comes to politics. But I'm just like, you know, really, because of the Catholic Church's stance on abortion, you're going to go protest his funeral. I'm like, shut up. So, just something that pissed me off. Moonlight Gardner, thank you for the super chat. When did I say I was going to start my peas? Now you're going to make me go look this up again. I believe it's early March, late February, early March, but let me look at it. And again, reminding everybody, I'm in zone 6B, so when I do it is not the same as everybody else, okay? Boy, I can't type. Here we go. Take me a second here. Yes, I know. Log in, do all this sort of crap. Come on. Almost there. I know, isn't this exciting? All this work to find out when P's go in. But this is exactly why I keep all this written down, because otherwise you forget. All right. You know, it's like, oh crap, I should have done that a week ago or whatever. This way I can go into the calendar and look at it. 1st of March. 1st of March, my peas will be planted in rain gutters, and around mid-March they will go in the ground. And yeah, peas will grow fast enough at that point that you are ready. So Jeffrey, thank you for the super sticker as well. Appreciate it. Okay. Ridge Runner. Okay, now I feel like I'm back in the Army. The CDC wouldn't let me be me on the FCC, so the ESG score is coming after me. Any of you guys have ever had military people in your family? You know how they all talk in acronyms. I used to drive my folks nuts. It's like, oh yeah, this, that, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, it confused my dad even more because Dad was Navy. Let's see. Blue Raven. By the way, how does canning pulled pork change the flavor and texture? Okay, so Mrs. P and I canned all that sort of stuff. Out of that 21 pound slab of pork, I got 11 quarts of pulled pork. Okay. We shared one with Mr. and Mrs. Mountaintop Preps. They were the guinea pigs to have it with us. None of us died, so we did okay. One of the ones that we canned did not seal. So we had canned it. It did not, went through the 90-minute process, the whole 9 yards, and it did not seal. So we ate that one for dinner last night. Tasted phenomenal. The texture was still you couldn't tell it was canned. I mean, the thing I like about when you can pork, canning pork almost gives it a slightly smoky taste to it. So this actually improved the canning actually improved the taste to me. Didn't have any problems with the sugars from the barbecue sauce or anything like that. It all came out perfect. I mean, here, I'll grab one real quick. You'll see they're still sitting on the counter. The things I do for YouTube. So there's what it came out like, okay? And obviously the rings are still on there. I haven't washed off the jars yet. But no, it came out delicious. So very good. Gina, is it true Canada has the first 15-minute city? I do not believe so. Where was it? Was it Norway or Sweden that was going to do one? I mean, unless Canada's already got it, because I know Cleveland wants to do it, but there's a few cities around the world that have said, oh, they want to do it, which is great. Go for it and watch how many people leave. And you'll have your 15-minute city, and you'll have 15 people that live there, because there's no business. There's no jobs. Think about in a city. You have a 15-minute city. You're going to put a manufacturing plant in a 15-minute city? It's where a lot of people work. No. Okay. You're going to have the Walmarts and all the retail stores. That's great. Guess what? You need product. And when the company goes, well, you're only allowed to send in trucks this amount of time, otherwise they're going to charge you. The companies are either go, well, either you're paying the fees or we ain't coming. We'll see how long that lasts. 15-minute cities is about the stupidest idea I've ever heard. But then again, it's a liberal idea. Jay Myers, if wearing a hat on Tuesday, that's a bad hair day. Exactly. Yes, the fedora is for Saturdays. If I've got a ball cap on, that means my hair looks like a spider's nest. Okay. Kim Smith, how's the greenhouse? The cabbage now has a second set of true leaves on it, so uh, 4 real leaves, and the lettuce is probably that that big around, but it's cut and come again lettuce. It's not head lettuce that's out there. But there's enough on there where if I want to grill hamburgers this week, I could go out and cut a leaf of lettuce and cover my entire hamburger patty. So it's working good. I'm more anxious now to get my seed starts in there and see how that all works for my tomatoes, my peppers, everything like that I've got going on. Then that'll be the real test. But at least I know throughout all these cold days and everything, the greenhouse is staying 68 to 70 degrees, no problem. Heater comes on, fan comes on, and everything grows in there nicely. And no problem with moisture, nothing. H, where did I get that little heater for the shed grow area? I got it on Amazon. If you send me an email, I'll go back and look through. I bought that probably near a year ago. I'll go back and look and I'll send you the link for it if you're interested in it. Tammy Eaker, how are the seed starts doing? Mine are doing okay so far. Yeah, they're doing great out there. I transplanted them. What was it, Saturday? I think it was on Saturday's live stream. We put them into 1 gallon buckets to let them grow in that and go from there. But no, they're doing wonderful. PK, favorite ice cream has got to be Heath Candy Crunch. I love Heath bars. So that's me. Let's see. Okay, I just saw. How's that? I saw my screen start doing the little circle thing here, so I just wanted to make sure it was okay there with you guys. Ellen Knipe, got my tomato and I'm assuming that's onion starts going today. Hope I'm not too early, zone 7B. Onions, you're probably late, and tomatoes 7B. So you're probably 2 to 3 weeks ahead of me. You might be a tad early, but nothing that's going to be terrible on the tomatoes. But if you're starting onions from seed, you're late. If you're starting them from starts or sets, you're okay. Let's see. Randy Brown, have I ever used the wall of waters so you can plant early? I've never heard of the wall of waters, so no. And, like I said, I've grown Indiana, I've grown Massachusetts, I've grown Salt Lake City, I've grown Nevada, now I'm growing, it's like, talk about figuring out different soils, different weather conditions, everything all over the place. It's, figure it out. So that's half the fun of it. Let's see. But no, I've never heard of wall of waters. So, all right, shot to the bottom, up we go to the top. Darlene Carter, we are iced in here in Southeast Oklahoma and more coming for us tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, but you have power, which is a thing. Okay, if I'm iced in the house for a couple of days, I'm a prepper. Cool, all right? I know I've got food, if I've got heat, great. If I still have, I don't know if you live in a country or a city or whatever, but my normal heat source and my normal electric source, cool. Turn on a couple of movies, chill out and relax. Nothing else you can do. This time of year, again, this is why this time of year I hate, okay? Because I've always got to be going. It drives me nuts to sit still. And so this is, the January, February, early March I'm just like, oh my God, I want to get outside. Let me do something. There's nothing that I can get out and do. And so this time drives me nuts. So, Grammy Lauren, I was trying a new plan on a garden, adding in 2 areas, a kind of second growing level. If If I sent you my plans, would you try to give me some advice? I know you're busy. I'm trying to figure out a second. You really can't put something on top of anything because you'll just kill all the sun coming down to the bottom level. I mean, unless it's very narrow, but even then, anything that's in the back, you're going to block. Send me what you got. I'll take a look at it real quick. Linda House, how did I meet Mrs. P? Do I speak Russian? No, I don't speak Russian. I've answered this question so many times on videos. Mrs. P and I met online, and everything that happened there afterwards. So yeah, I've answered that question probably 30 times in videos already. So let's see. Add a girl prepping. Would I recommend a 12 or a 20 gauge shotgun for general home protection? Thank you. Okay, I'll give you two things on here. 12 gauge ammo is going to be a hell of a lot easier to find than 20 gauge ammo, first off. But depending on the size and stature of the person using it, maybe a 20 gauge isn't going to recoil like a 12 gauge is, So if you're a smaller statured person, or a teenager, or you're going to teach the kid to use it, just in case, maybe a 20. For either one is going to be fine for home protection, no doubt. I always laugh at people when they're like, oh, I got, slugs in my shotgun for home protection, or double-aught buck or something like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, so if you want to blow holes in your wall and kill your neighbor, okay, great. I mean, for my shotgun for home protection, I keep turkey shot in it. That's enough to easily put a guy down, but it's not going to blow holes in my house and go through to my neighbors. All right. So, either one will work. The recoil, the kickback is what you've got to concern yourself with more. And then the one thing I will absolutely say about using a shotgun is you have to practice with it. Not to sight zero or anything like that. You've got to get used to, if you're going to get a full-size shotgun, you've got to get used to seating that in your shoulder, because if you don't, your shoulder is going to hurt like hell with one shot. Now, you can get a riot shotgun, which I prefer. It's what I've got for home defense, at least, which is kind of like the pistol grip shotgun. I've showed it to you guys before, and that's more of a shoot from the hip type one. It's a lot easier to maneuver in the house. Now, I'm not going to use that to go out duck hunting, but for home defense, that's what I look at. Would I recommend one or the other? Both are going to be good. It just depends on your size. A 20 gauge for a 98-pound woman is going to be a lot of weapon. A 20 gauge or a 12 gauge for a 98-pound woman is going to be a lot of weapon. Not that they can't use it. You just, as long as you know what you're doing. Elaine Pruden, thank you for sending me the link for the lights. Planning to work on them next week. Maybe start some stuff. Don't want to get too far ahead since I'm zone 4 to 5. Yeah, if you're 4 to 5, you're 3 months away from doing any planning at this point. I mean, you'd probably start your P's, God, late April, maybe. Because, I mean, when's your last frost date has got to be past Mother's Day up there. Sunshine 67, planted peas on the 24th inside. Now they're about 2 inches tall. Yeah, that's it. I mean, 2 weeks, peas, they're ready to go in the garden. Okay. You don't need much more than that. I hope to God you didn't plant them in individual pods because you're going to hate life. That's why I put them in the gutter, because then I can slide out 150 pea plants all at once. And I don't have to worry about ripping roots or the fact that they're all tangled together or anything like that already. Okay, H, I think we asked the little fan with the heater for the seeds starting. Yeah, just send me an email. I'll send that over to you. Roddy's rule. Mom told me that 1-2. Mom told me that 1-2. Said I was never able to follow her advice. She also said do unto others before they do to you. So LOL. Okay. I'm betting that's the if you don't have something nice to say. Trying to go back to what it is. Let's go on through here. Sinbob 00. You plant your peas in gutters. Yes, I do. Okay. There's a video. I went to the playlists. It's probably 2 years ago. I showed you guys how to do this. But I take a piece of rain gutter, just plastic rain gutter, put caps on both ends. Don't glue them in or anything. Just put caps on both ends. 4 or 5 foot. I think mine are 5 feet. I took the 10-foot gutters and cut them in half, so 5 foot. Fill them with my potting mix and put my seeds an inch square apart. Okay, so it's 180 seeds or something like that in a 5 foot run of gutter, because 3 deep, 60 across. Let them grow like that. When I'm done, and again, you can go watch this in the video, I take one end cap off. I literally slide 180 pea plants right out of the gutter, right into the ground. They're done. Backfill them. And I just planted 180 plants in 5 minutes without disturbing the roots, without worried about them tangled together or anything of the sort. You guys have seen my pea plants. My pea plants go insanely nuts running up the trellis. So it works really well. I'd rather be sitting at the table like this, putting peas in a rain gutter, than sitting in the ground bent over for 2 hours putting peas in the ground. Okay, it's an easy trick. It's not an original. It's one I learned a long time ago. There's other people that have done it. I've even saw Hugh Richards got a video on it too, on doing the same thing. Yeah, it's a very good trick for planting peas. Okay. Lori, do I have my planting timeline list on YouTube anywhere? I can't. It's because it's different for everybody. I mean, like I said, I'm in zone 6B, okay? And I mean, the United States runs pretty much, not including Alaska, from zone 3 to zone 11, and then you've got 6A, 6B, 7A, 7B. So you've got like 15 different grow zones. And again, it's going to be different for everybody. I mean, when I put something in, and somebody in Oklahoma City and somebody in Springfield, Illinois, and somebody in Columbus, Ohio, it's all different. So you need to keep track of that for yourself. You can start by looking online and see what the general overview is for your zip code by your grow zone. But y'all know as well as I do, you got microclimates and everything. I mean, I'm at 1,100 feet elevation here above sea level. I go to Mr. and Mrs. Mountaintop Preps. They're 1,600 feet, okay, 500 feet higher than me. They're half a mile away, okay? Different times to start different things just there. So you need to figure out, you can get the basis for your zone, but then you need to start tweaking that based on your particular microclimates. Sarah of the Woods, recommendations for a good pressure canning cookbook. I'm going to say the same thing everybody else does. Go get the Ball Blue book. I mean, that's the Bible for canning. So, there ain't nothing better. My McIntyre, I think it was Scotland who had a 15-minute city. Okay, I knew there was one in Europe that had, I thought, put it either was already doing it or already had started it. Let's see. Patrick King, ain't that the truth? 15-minute cities would make 5-minute wars. I like that. Yeah, I mean, think about what a 15-minute city is, guys. That goes back to like King Arthur, all right? We have a big castle, which is your 15-minute city. And then you have all the peasants on the outside. That's exactly what it is. That's everything that's going on in the world is right now. It's the elites and the serfs. That's all. That's what they're trying to take us back to the Dark Ages. As silly as that sounds, prove me wrong, because everything they are doing is going back to that type of totalitarian one ruler over everything. They're chosen people, and everybody else are nothing but servants and the starving masses. Prove me wrong. Sword 5000. All bread is stale and hard at the stores. Some has mold. Yeah. I hope everybody knows how to make your own, because that's what, the hard part is going to be is getting the flour or getting the wheat berries and stuff like that, because soon enough, you're not going to be able to get that. So, Rural Internet Prepper, thank you for the super chat. We run a Mossberg shockwave for our home defense. So do I. 12 gauge running mini shells with the plug installed. Holds 10 rounds. I can email it. That's exactly what I've got. Yes. So love that shotgun. Let's see. Mountaintop Preps, we got to get you a cowboy hat. Yeah, there you go. Because, that wouldn't stand out like a sore thumb in Tennessee, right? I'd look like a tourist in a heartbeat. NC, when I first moved to DFW, everyone kept promoting that you could get anywhere in the city in 20 minutes. Right. I lived in Arlington for about 9 months, okay? And I couldn't get to Lake Dallas in 20 minutes, okay? I lived in Denton for 2 years. I couldn't get to Lake Dallas in 20 minutes. Right. You can't get anywhere in 20 minutes. Let's see. Quick Tech, what's going on with chicken feed? I've got the same information you guys. I've heard that some of this Producer's Pride stuff, some of the stuff that's sold at Tractor Supply is causing chickens to not lay. It's a brand of Purina food. I guess most chicken food is made by Purina. I don't have chickens, so I don't know a whole lot of this. But as much as Purina is saying nothing's going on, the evidence from the people that are out there that don't know each other, there's not some big conspiracy to go after Purina of all companies, is, hey, let's go after them for chicken feed. It's my chickens aren't laying. Let me change the feed. Gee, my chickens are laying all of a sudden. And it's not like this is one or two people. You can go on Twitter or YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or whatever and see countless people who said the same thing. There's something in that feed or something that's not in the feed, one of the two, that is keeping the chickens from producing. Whether there's not enough protein in the feed, they're mismarking it, or I don't know. But the common denominator is, gee, we fed this feed. Now we're not feeding this feed. And gee, now we're getting eggs. So. Then we're going to go to the bottom again. There we go. Okay. Sajak, Pinball, what do you recommend is the best way to keep grass from growing up in the garden? Okay. You know me, I've got and again, this is take it down, put it up, put it down, take it up. There you go. But I've got the weed barrier that I put through it. I showed you guys last year that now that I've built up enough soil that I can put down, that I burned holes in it, I plant. Works great, okay? The thing that you guys got to remember about that is you got to take it up every year, and then you're going to re-roll it out. You're probably going to do this anyway because you probably rotate your crops, and I don't know about you, but the way the holes are in the fabric for the cabbage is completely completely different than the way the holes are in the fabric for the beans. Okay, so I need to be able to move the sheets around. That stuff works fabulously for keeping the the weeds out, the grass down, everything. I know there's plenty of people that are going to say, oh, gee, if you keep putting mulch down, keep putting mulch down. Yes, if you keep putting mulch down, it will keep smothering the grass and the grass will just keep moving up. You'll continue to get it, okay? As good as mulch is, it's still a source that dust and bird droppings and water and everything like that get into, and it's decomposing. It'll grow. It's not much. It's got roots that are strong enough that are going to go through that plastic, or I'm sorry, the green is not going to come through the plastic up. The roots can go through the plastic down. That is very possible. So you need to make sure you're keeping the weed barrier clean. Leaf blower works fine. You know, if you got gardens that have a pitch to them, you can just rinse it. It'll all wash it down. You're good that way. But absolutely the best thing is weed barrier. I know a lot of people talk about mulch. Mulch will work for a season, and then you're going to have to put more on it, and more on it, and more on it, and more on it. And unless you've got an unlimited supply of trees and a wood chipper, mulch costs money for most people. Because a lot of people have caught on to the idea of, hey, let's go get municipal mulch, or let's get a hold of a tree service, and they're not giving it away anymore. Or everybody and their mother wants it. So, Farm Girl 64, is it true Bill Gates is coming out with an egg substitute? I heard that today. There's been egg substitutes for years. I mean, I care less what Bill Gates does. Bill Gates is an idiot. So, but there's been egg substitutes on the market for decades. It's not going to be anything new. There we go. Like-minded, health, my favorite also. Okay. Not sure that. 8 Mrs. Peas Stroganoff, my tummy hurts after reading you plant peas in gutters. Hey, it's just another plastic container. That's all it is. Let's see. Wall of water is a sealed bag of water surrounding plants. Okay, yeah, no, I've never used it. So, Warlord TV, what is my opinion on adding Farmer's Almanac to my library? I use Farmer's Almanac quite a bit, okay, especially for the gardening part. I know there's people that swear by the phases of the moon and all this sort of stuff. I don't, okay? You know, I'm looking more at, it's a guideline, not a set in stone set of rules. If it says plant your vegetables on, you know, June 17th, provided it's a waning moon or whatever it is, I'm like, okay, June 17th, when does it fit my schedule? What's the weather like? You know, that's how I kind of go with it. All right. It's a guideline to me. It's not the end all be all. Kent Hovid, when was the last time I was beardless? That would probably be Salt Lake City. So probably 2017. So, yeah. I don't think I grew it in Vegas, then I shaved it off, but I started growing it right back. So, yeah, I'd say the last time I went to any specific time was probably 2017. Yeah, this is 4 years growth. So, that's it. Blonde hair does not grow fast. Let's see. A Cushnet Prepper, how's the bow and arrow training coming along? I'll tell you when I start. I haven't got there yet. I got too many other things going on. So, you know, I'm trying to get my backyard not be a mud bog like it is right now. And once I can get that done, then maybe I can get targets set up and do something, but at one step at a time. And I mean, if it comes to the point where, oh my God, the world goes to hell and I haven't trained on it, that's fine. I got plenty of other things around here that I have trained on. Purple Chris, how long do you let onions grow before a haircut? If you're talking about from seeds, I would not let them get more. If they're 2 inches, I'd cut them back to an inch. You need those to get stocky on the bottom, because once they fall over, they're done. Okay, you need to keep those things vertical. If they flop, you're you've literally killed the plant. So, uh, if they get up to 2 inches, that first where it's almost like a piece of thread thickness, trim it back. Let them start getting that beefiness to them, and then you can let them grow a little bit. You'll probably, if you're starting from seed, you'll probably trim them 3 times before putting them in the ground as starts when they're about that big. Let's see. Suburban hillbilly. I can shoot. Cannot shoot any shotgun on a black and blue shoulder. 53-year-old female, 119 pounds. Yes, like I said, for her, the 20 gauge might be a better idea. Not saying that can't do it, but black and blue shoulder is not something it doesn't go away the next day. There you go. K-Rex says her shotgun's a 410. Seems to fit me well. There's another good option. South Colorado Stetter, am I going to get into learning to make my own load ammo? I have more reloading equipment upstairs from one of you guys that sent me. The problem has been finding primers and taking 2 years, but finally found primers. So those are in the mail on the way. And then we can start working on reload. Ildeco, do you find that other cultures differ from American values very much, such as Mrs. P? Yes and no. I mean, it depends on what we're talking about. I mean, again, even if you go around the United States, it's different. Okay. Again, think of the way people, just for a simple one that everybody gets, think of the way people are treated in New York City versus the way people are treated in, say, Mississippi. Okay. Very different. And yeah, you get it all around the world. I mean, culturally, it's going to be different. Food's going to be different. Entertainment's going to be different. I mean, and I enjoy learning that stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons I've loved all the traveling I've done around the world and around the country in my life, is I get to learn all these different things and see how other people do it and experience other stuff that I would have never done if I just stayed in one place. A truck Campbell, do I have extra cheap donut tires in case of tire scarcity? I've got an F-150. A donut is not going to work. I've got real spares. Thanks. No, the donut. If you've got a little car, maybe a donut will work to get you that extra 25 miles or 50 miles. But if you got a truck, the donuts don't work. Joel Sears, like an RV gutter, a hose holder? No, like a rain gutter that's on your house. That's a 5 or 6 inch wide, 5 foot long deal. Just standard plastic. You can use a metal one too. It doesn't matter. Plastic I just like because less chance of hurting myself with it. It doesn't get smashed. Regular piece of cheap rain gutter that you can find at the hardware store or find a scrapyard somewhere or whatever. Works perfect. Daddy T, how did Mrs. P and I decide on living in Tennessee? This is another one of those questions I've asked many times. We looked all over the country when we left Vegas. We specifically, had to stay in budget. Okay. That ruled out a lot of different places. Montana, that ruled out real quick because houses in Montana were ridiculously expensive. But we knew we wanted a cabin type home. We knew we wanted a couple of acres. We knew we wanted to be somewhat in the woods. And between looking at, where did we look? Idaho, Montana, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. Okay, so we're searching the web. We weren't going to all these physical places. And this was the house that we found. I mean, literally, we were looking for 3 months maybe. Saw this house. It had been on the market for like 3 years. All of a sudden, it was pending an offer. Crap. About 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, it was no longer pending. And I called the real estate. I think it was a Tuesday or something like that. Tuesday or Wednesday. Called the real estate agent to check it out. Said, "Hey, is this no longer pending?" He called me back. Says, "No, it's not." We got a flight. We were left Vegas on Friday. Flew into Nashville on the middle of the night. We got in middle of the night Friday night. Drove all the way to Knoxville, which is 4 hours away. Met the realtor Saturday morning at 9:00. Put a house on the bid Sunday morning at 9:00, and flew home. That was it. Because it was like, okay, it was the right house, the right price, in the right area. That was it. We've been looking. It was, nice house. So, for what we could afford. Sunshine 67, husband's kicking himself now. Gutters next time. Talk about this every year. It's like that V8 moment. It's like, oh, yeah. So, Fastball 2611, Pinball wanted to try to grow Brussels sprouts, but found it very hard to grow any thoughts. I tried it the first year we were here. They are difficult. I got the plants to grow. Plants got up to about 2 feet, and I started getting Brussels sprouts, but they weren't the size maybe of a marble. I have never figured out Brussels sprouts. That's cabbage, anything like that, broccoli, no problem. I can't. They're all the same family, brassicas. I have no luck growing Brussels sprouts. So I love Brussels sprouts, but I've finally given up growing them. It's not worth the work if I'm not getting anything for it. If I can't get them to grow, why am I working so hard on them? I found Waldo. Tell Mrs. P she'd have a lot of fans if she made her own channel. If she ever got rid of her stage fright, maybe, but I don't see that happening. Let's see. A2 Yogi 2 for 12 gauge 16. You can get an extended tube and use the lead shot 456. That would get the job. Yeah, sure. White Feather Pinball. I got the peat moss for seed starting, but had to get perlite instead of vermiculite. Is that okay? They just do different things. One will help hold oxygen more. One will help hold water more. So with the peat, as long as you don't have very fine peat moss, you should be fine. You're only going to be in there for about 6 weeks. And peat moss is usually pretty good about holding water and being thick enough that you're going to get oxygen. I wouldn't worry about it. You're fine there. It's just to break up the soil a little bit more. Karen Williams says, for shotguns, is pump or semi-automatic better? That's personal opinion. Whatever you want. Let's see. Betty Jo Driscoll, I need to start taking notes for your gardening tips. If the power goes out, I'll be so lost unless you plan on writing a book. No. No books. No manuals, no nothing. That's it. I was like, y'all don't realize how much time YouTube takes. I mean, it's like, oh, you put up a video for 8 minutes. That's it. Yeah, okay. To put up that video for 8 minutes probably took 3 hours to put together. Okay. I mean, that's between doing the research, recording the video, editing the video, uploading the video, dealing with YouTube and their foobar deals all over the place. Yeah, I mean, I'd say 2 to 3 hours is usually about what it takes to get one video up. So, and I have enough stuff I got to do around the house too. I mean, it's like I get 2 up, and sometimes there's a third one or whatever, and I'm like, holy crap, that's 9 hours worth of work. If I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's like, okay, it's noon. I've been working on YouTube for 8 hours. 1 minute till. One more question here. Vicky Savage, I have an 1,100-foot difference between the ridge top and the ravine bottom. That's a zone and a half difference. Yeah, literally, that's exactly what it is. I mean, you're not growing the same in the bottom as you are at the top. It's completely different. So. All right, guys. 'Tis 9 o'clock. Happy end of January. Glad to put this month in the bank. We are into February, which means we're closer to spring. Thank God. I'll see you all in the morning. Pinball out.